Your king believes he is made of glass, and you are standing one elbow away. One careless shove, one loud surprise, and he thinks France will need a broom. Unfortunately, your job is to make this man laugh without making him move. You are the royal jester, which suddenly feels less like comedy and more like bomb disposal.
Everyone watches your bells, your hands, and the fragile king behind you. Make the right joke and the court breathes again. Make the wrong one and history gets messy. Before becoming the kingdom's most nervous comedian, this looked like the luckiest job alive.
It is 1380, and 11-year-old Charles VI has just become King of France. You arrive at court wearing bright silk, ridiculous shoes, and professionally weaponized stupidity. The palace gives you hot meals, warm rooms, and permission to insult powerful people. Young Charles is charming, generous, and already known to his people as the Beloved.
You imitate a pompous duke, and Charles nearly falls from his chair laughing. The duke laughs too because the alternative is explaining himself to the king. Charles tosses you a gold coin, and every servant nearby instantly hates your face. Congratulations, you've reached the top of the palace food chain by falling over deliberately.
For a while, the job really is perfect. Feasts, applause, gossip, and no farming whatsoever. Then, in his 20s, Charles suffers the first terrifying break from reality. He becomes confused, distant, and unable to recognize people who should be completely familiar. At times, he forgets that he is king, and even forgets his own name. He looks at his wife like she is an unexpected visitor asking for directions. Then, he looks at you, and there is no recognition behind his eyes either. Your best joke lands in total silence before the most powerful man in France. No smile, no anger, just one long stare that makes your bells feel extremely loud.
Royal physicians examine him and produce the traditional medieval diagnosis: absolutely nothing useful. No one dares call the king mad because losing your head is terrible for honest medical discussion. Your orders remain simple. Entertain His Majesty exactly as before. Except as before now means comforting a man who sometimes cannot locate himself inside his own life.
You discover that arguing with him makes everything worse, while gently entering his reality can calm him. So when he insists something impossible is happening, you stop correcting and start improvising. The walls are not moving, Your Majesty. They are merely bowing very slowly. He relaxes, the advisors relax, and suddenly your nonsense has become national policy.
Courtiers treat you less like a fool and more like the emergency lever beside the throne. You receive better rooms, richer meals, and access to a king few nobles can safely approach. Powerful men who once ignored you now arrive carrying gifts and suspiciously polite smiles. You broker influence through jokes, riddles, and strategically timed puppet voices. For the first time, you feel important, perhaps even protected. Then Charles announces with complete certainty that his body is made entirely of glass. He fears that one bump, touch, or sudden movement could shatter him into pieces. To protect himself, he has iron rods sewn into his royal clothing.
Now the fragile glass king is reinforced like a portable castle gate. And guess who must stand closest while wearing bells and shoes designed for tripping? You, obviously. Congratulations on becoming France's official anti-collision device. Every performance must calm him without startling him. No jumping, no falling, no dramatic entrances, and absolutely no surprise livestock. Your finest physical comedy is reduced to raising one eyebrow at a medically responsible speed. The king sometimes refuses to bathe or changes clothes for long stretches. You sit beside him through meals, councils, prayers, and the slow death of nearby flowers.
On clearer days, Charles speaks intelligently and understands the kingdom around him. During darker episodes, confusion and fear return, and nobody knows which king will wake tomorrow. The court thanks you whenever he settles, and blames you whenever he does not. Apparently, royal madness is your responsibility because you own a hat with bells.
Your small advantage, special access to the king, has become a leash tied directly to his moods. You cannot leave for long, sleep deeply, or enjoy a meal without someone urgently finding you. Then comes 1392, when Charles rides with his knights through the heat near Le Mans. A ragged man rushes toward the royal party and shouts that the king has been betrayed.
Later, a sudden metallic crash among the soldiers helps trigger complete panic. Charles draws his sword and attacks members of his own loyal retinue. Men are killed before the others finally overpower and restrain their king. You were not there, which becomes the happiest fact of your entire professional life.
But now, everyone understands that Charles can shift from calm to deadly without warning. Your unofficial job changes again. Notice the storm before anyone else sees the first cloud. There is no training manual, no expert advice, and no comforting chapter titled, "When the King Charges." You rely on tiny changes in his voice, his posture, and the way he grips a cup.
Some nights, he wanders the palace while servants flatten themselves against the walls. You follow at a careful distance, ready with a soft joke and several possible escape routes. You begin sleeping fully dressed, boots on, bells removed for tactical silence. One badly timed joke might get you killed. One perfect joke might prevent a political disaster.
No pressure, only your life, the court, and occasionally the stability of France. The episodes continue across the years, returning again and again without any reliable pattern. Charles survives them, keeps the crown, and reigns for 42 astonishing years. Somehow, against equally unreasonable odds, you survive beside him. You become the person summoned whenever the king is frightened, confused, furious, or convinced he might crack. Everyone envies your food, your rooms, and your access. Nobody envies the actual job. You cannot safely resign because tomorrow the king may trust only the fool he remembers. History remembers Charles as the beloved king who became Charles the Mad. History probably forgets you completely, which may be the final piece of good luck. But you remain alive, well-fed, sheltered, and occasionally richer than the nobles laughing at you. You outlast court plots, civil conflict, royal breakdowns, and a monarch reinforced with iron rods. Just keep smiling, keep improvising, and never let the King of Glass bump into anything.